This is just incredible. I am humbled and honored to be up here. I do a lot of public speaking, but it's nothing like this. Henry, thank you. Thank you for those extraordinarily kind words. I'm immensely grateful to you for bringing me into KKR, helping me to create a platform, and for leading the charge along with Pamela Alexander and Carrie Ann Benjamin, and helping me to galvanize KKR support for PrEP. A personal thank you to Marie-José and Henry Kravis, Linnea and George Roberts, Amy and Scott Nuttall, and Janice Lee and Joe Bay for their leadership and tremendous sponsorship of tonight's gala. And thank you to KKR more broadly, as Henry mentioned, tonight represented by over 100 colleagues across 10 tables with financial contributions from many more. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Ruth, PrEP's Board of Directors, especially PrEP trustee Dusty Phillip, Brearley's head of school, Jane Freed, and Brearley's Board of Directors, and Morgan Stanley and KPMG, as well as the many firms and individuals who've extended themselves to support PrEP for PrEP this year. Thank you to my parents. Who are my foundation and are here tonight. To my husband, Ricardo, who is my cornerstone. In choosing you, I've done at least one thing right, and I'm excited for the launch of your new venture, Founder Tribes. To my dear son, Cameron, who had to go upstairs. In all the ways one can imagine, it's been an incredible experience to encounter a toddler with your will, sense of wonder, kindness, and intellectual curiosity. Thank you for making me a mom. I may not get as much sleep as I used to, but you are worth it. I'm so excited for the impact you will make in this world. Thank you also to my fellow PrEP alums. We've discovered and navigated worlds together, supporting each other along the way. It's not just Paula up here on stage tonight, but it's all of us for all of us. PrEP for life. And to the new high school graduates, I remember sitting in your seats and in fact being one of the speakers on this stage 30 years ago. How crazy is that? Congratulations on making it to this point. Take the time to celebrate. But tomorrow, you start the next phase. I know you will seize the opportunities that come your way to make your mark and pay it forward. I hope that the anecdotes I share tonight offer some perspective regardless of the path you choose to take. So, I'm not sure whose idea it was to put the most important people in every aspect of my life in the same room together. Sounds like a pretty risky proposition, but thank you again to PrEP for the opportunity to recognize the impact you all have had on me and offer a few words of advice to the next generation. You know, one of the questions I've gotten is, did you imagine that you would be here in this position at KKR, on stage at the Lilac Ball again? And shockingly, the answer is yes. But let me be clear. I did not know what private equity was, nor did I know why anyone would invite me to speak on CNBC or Bloomberg. But anyone who knows my family, the Campbell family, knows that we were raised to believe there was nothing we could not do. My parents and I immigrated to the US when I was 2 years old. My mother's early jobs in the US were as a housekeeper, and like most Jamaican immigrants, she had more than one job, but she ultimately became a manager of a Citibank branch before retiring early as an entrepreneur at the age of 55. That was last year. My father first worked as a tailor, but took classes and became the lead electronics specialist at Amtrak and New Jersey Transit before retiring as an acting supervisor. Despite those accomplishments, my father always thought he could have done more, so he pushed me to excel. Every night, my father talked to me about the importance of education. Those experiences in conjunction with my faith and being from Yard, AKA Jamaica, where Wiliko but with Taloa is a mindset, was the foundation that gave me the will to succeed. That's right. But it was prep that provided us with the tools and opportunities to build on that foundation by preparing and pairing us with the top independent schools in New York City and arguably the world. My 5th grade elementary school teacher, Mrs. Alexis, from PS 161 in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, introduced my family to Prep for Prep. Prep was founded, as we learned, on the bold idea that if you equip talented students with the tools to achieve their full potential, the results will be transformational for their families, their communities, as well as society as a whole. It's a remarkable thing at age 10 or 11 to be encouraged to dream beyond what you've seen, and even more remarkable to believe you can achieve it. As now Governor Westmore, fellow Jamaican, has described so well, 2 individuals with the very same talent can face very different fates based on the opportunities they are able to access. So it was always very clear to me that this journey, these opportunities were not just my own. During prep summers, I hosted school in my backyard, where I shared prep learnings on Latin, history with friends in my neighborhood, including Sharice Bullock Bailey, who later joined prep, attended Brearley and the University of Pennsylvania. Following my experience in prep, my cousins also pursued their own prep journeys. You heard from Nicole Campbell, who attended Exeter, Amherst, Harvard Kennedy School. Ettrick Campbell attended Exeter and the University of Pennsylvania. Roxanne Campbell attended Dwight Englewood and UVA. That's for you, Henry McVeigh. And because of Prep's broadening of our extended family networks, my cousin Natalie Campbell also attended Lawrenceville and Harvard, and my cousin Renee Campbell founded the Bright Learning Academy. Through the preparatory component, we closed the gap between what we were learning in public school and our independent school curriculums. But what has become even more valuable over the past 30 years has been the prep family we've developed. You've heard from many from my prep family tonight, including Diane Billings, and those featured in that fantastic video, for whom professional success and paying it forward are simultaneous areas of focus. We have leaned on each other as we navigated different worlds, privileged with the opportunity to define whom we would become, as well as the responsibility to bring our families and communities along. At Brearley, a preeminent independent school for girls and my alma mater, I realized that there is a lot more that binds us than that separates us. On day 1, I remember feeling very much like I had entered a new world. But in very short order, due to incredible teachers, coaches, administrators, and students, now alums and friends, many of whom are here tonight, I became Miss Brearley. I had found a new home where I could explore many interests with students who shared the same sense of intellectual curiosity. I read the Canterbury Tales and Beloved, wrote math papers and photography essays, fell in love with physics, debated history, found great sport in translating long Latin and French passages, spent a summer at Le Chambon-sur-Lignon, and under Coach Tammy Zazori's tutelage, became captain of the varsity volleyball, basketball, and track teams. And believe it or not, I was somewhat shy on the basketball court when I first started playing. But Miss Zazori pushed me to take up space on the court. I later became co-president of student government with fellow prep student Amina Elderfield. Outside of school together, we would spend equal amounts of time geeking out over our new TI-85 trigonometric calculators and shopping. In the 9th grade, I remember organizing a school-wide movement to help Brearley incorporate more diversity into its English curriculum. In another full circle experience, 5 years after graduating, Wilhelmina Eakin asked me to join the Alumni Association, and for the next 15 years, I served as either a member of the Brearley Alumni Board or of Brearley's Board of Trustees, and for several years I did both. But then I had a son. I found another home at Yale where I deepened ties with my prep Yale family, including Sheldon Gilbert, Jamal Lassane, and Jamina Bernard, and also spent many Thursday nights with my new St. Anthony Hall family. several of whom are here tonight and who are some of my closest friends to this day. I thank my fellow brothers and sisters for that space where we regularly practice an art that can get lost today, which is the ability to come from different backgrounds, hold and debate very different points of view, and still not only coexist, but be great friends. Prep also catalyzed the growth of my professional life. Through the Prep College Internship Program, I met the incomparable Wendy Myers-Campbell, who is here tonight. I had my first internship at Fidelity Investments with Wendy and would later follow her to Morgan Stanley for several years. Wendy poured into me as if I were her own child. I discovered my superpower with Wendy and continue to lean into it today. I must have been 20 or so. I still remember Wendy asking me to lead a strategy session we were holding with 15 or so senior managers. It was so exhilarating to be able to craft a new strategy, effectively communicate it, and thoroughly enjoy the entire process. In many ways, those are the skills I continued to hone and refine in my career and are at the core of what I still do to this day. And this theme of extraordinary individuals choosing to invest in diverse talent and understanding both the mutually beneficial and broad impact of doing so is critical. In yet another full circle moment, I remember rejoining Morgan Stanley after KPMG, Harvard Business School, and Bain Consulting, as I sought to put into practice some of the strategic frameworks I had developed as a management consultant. In a twist of fate, I discovered markets and investing and never looked back. Ellen Zentner, Morgan Stanley's chief US economist, took me under her wing and gave me a platform to prove myself. And I was not going to waste the opportunity. Because of Ellen's coaching and the support provided by now dear friends like Mandel Crawley, Katie Huberty, Carla Harris, and George Van Amsen, I ultimately became the US consumer economist for the firm, combining those early skills around strategic analysis, economic research, communication, and adding investing into the mix. As a publishing analyst, I was most proud of my first Insights publication on quantifying the economic impact of the Hispanic population. It shed new light on investment themes that had not previously been a focus, and was also my contribution to rewriting the narrative around communities of color. And interestingly enough, more than I realized, even outside of my narrow sphere, others were taking notice. I owe my introduction to KKR to Janice Cook Roberts, who is also here tonight, and truly like a sister. 8 years ago, I had organized and moderated a panel discussion on women in private equity, which included Janice. A few weeks after the panel, Janice invited me to meet Honoree McVeigh, whom I had never met but had followed since his days as chief investment strategist at Morgan Stanley. I remember prepping for weeks for the meeting, ready to share my analytical frameworks and my thematic investing ideas. But during the meeting, I learned that Honoree McVeigh and KKR's global macro team had already read and quoted from my work. Moreover, I learned that what Honoree was really interested in was me as a person. That was also true of Scott Nuttall, Henry Kravis, and George Roberts, as well as the 30 other partners to whom Honoree was kind enough to introduce me. They too were interested in my character and my unique perspective. I also learned that many of these titans of industry had also come from humble beginnings and shared my desire to make both a community as well as a commercial impact. From the work that Ken Melman has done with our Global Impact Fund, to Honoree McVeigh's KKR Gives Back initiative, to Chris Lee's work in incorporating a renter empowerment strategy in our multifamily real estate business, to the employee ownership strategy that Pete Stavros has launched, giving employees a voice and an opportunity for wealth creation, to Eric Mogiloff's work in expanding access to private markets, and Joe Bay's leadership of the Asian American Foundation. It is truly an exciting time to be at KKR. I feel incredibly proud to have played a small part in many of these initiatives and to call KKR home. What's more is that the list of KKR colleagues whom I hold as dear friends is long. Thank you all for the friendship and the partnership. To the prep graduates, hopefully you found some nuggets in some of these stories. I would emphasize 4. 1, you never know when you're going to have an opportunity for your own full circle moment. Be prepared and make each experience count. 2, find your true north with regard to what you want to learn and what impact you want to have. Write it down and keep revisiting it. 3, seek ways to connect with people, even those who may appear to be different on the surface. And finally, identify your superpowers and hone them. And to my fellow prep alums, we have come very far together. As teachers, entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders, CEOs, bankers, and lawyers, we contain multitudes. But let's be clear, we've only just begun. Thank you.